Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Comic Source Comic Boom collaboration. Time for another Spawn Daily. We're up to issue number 47. Can't believe it. We're like an eighth of the way through. It's really crazy to think about how much we've read already. And what we found, what Rocky and I have found since we've gone back and started reading these, is that they really do hold up. They're really quite good. Spawn gets a bad rap, I think, because McFarlane is more known as an artist, but I think he's doing a fantastic job of really giving us a meaty story. I mean, not every issue is perfect. There certainly are some ups and downs, and there's some flaws, some plot holes here and there, but, you could say that about just about any book, right? So I think that overall it's really good and it's really holding up, and I'm quite enjoying it. So let's go ahead and dive in. Let me share my screen. We'll talk about the latest issue. As I said, issue 47. As the latest issues have been doing, we're certainly alternating once again between Capullo and Tony Daniel on art. So this one is a Capullo issue. So we have Todd McFarlane on story, Greg Capullo on pencils, Todd McFarlane and Miki on inks. Before, Danny's helped out on inks a little bit, and I think we've seen it. Special thanks to. But in this issue, he's actually listed as an inker. Tom Orzechowski handles the letters, Brian Haberlin and Dan Kemp on colors. We do see a recap of issue 46 there, talking about Vito Gravano killing one of his employees, and then receiving a call from Sicily demanding overt killback, which he doesn't have. And then Tremor shows up, and Gravano's plan is to give Sicily Tremor, basically. And when Tremor shows up to kill Gravano, to get revenge for everything he's done, Gravano basically tells Tremor that his brother's still alive, that he never actually killed him, and that prevents Tremor from taking Gravano out, although he still desires to. Tremor goes looking for Spawn to see if Spawn will help out against Gravano. Meanwhile, Wanda's working on getting her hospital built, and Terry is getting really sick. He caught whatever sickness that Wanda had, apparently, but he's got it a lot worse, or maybe there's something else going on more than he might have thought. So at the end of last issue, we saw, as Tremor was trying to get Spawn's help, he had brought somebody, one of Gravano's men, with him, and that guy basically gave some names to get Spawn interested. That's the leverage Tremor thinks he has to get Spawn to help. So he names off Wanda Blake, Terry Fitzgerald, Cyan Fitzgerald, and Jason Winn. And so Spawn is like, well, what else do you know? And because that's how that issue ends. So this one starts, and Spawn's asking, okay, what else do you know? And apparently that guy didn't know anything else. All he knew was names. And so that wasn't enough for Spawn. He's like, well, this guy Vinny just knows some names. That doesn't mean anything. So Spawn tells Tremor, I'm not helping you out at all until, I get more information. So the only thing Vinny knew was that these people, the names that he knew, were people that Gravano had been surveilling. So Tremor goes out to look for the guy who's been in charge of the surveillance. His name's Billy Scambino. So as this issue kicks off, we see that Tremor shows up dragging Billy Scambino by the leg, saying, okay, here's the guy that you wanted. Get your answers and then give me your answer. Are you going to help me take out Vito Gravano? Because everybody knows where you can be found here in this alley, and the mafia's got an army of goons, and they'll come in here and they'll clog this alley up, and you wouldn't even have a chance. So you going to help me or what? Spawn's basically like, screw you, buddy. Like, I don't respond to threats, so don't even go there. And Tremor, he's just impatient. He wants his revenge for what Gravano did to him and turning him into this monster, and for Gravano taking out his family. says, you got to understand that I need to get my revenge and I need your help. And so get the answers you need and let's go. So Spawn basically interrogates Vinny, and Vinny says, well, I don't know anything about Jason Winn, but I know that the other three were, we were told to put them under surveillance. And at one point he thought that Terry was you, that Terry was Spawn. That turns out not to be the case, but that's all I know. And Spawn's like, well, what about Jason Winn? Is that who's giving him information? He's like, I don't know. And Tremor's done. His patience is gone. So he tosses Billy into a dumpster, and he says, okay, can I count on your help or what? Are you going to help me? Gravano has my brother. Are you going to help me? And Spawn says, okay, for tonight, and only for tonight, I will agree to help you. So what that means in the long run, I guess we'll have to wait and see. So meanwhile, the Violator in his clown persona is meeting with Jason Winn in the back of a limo, and Violator's pretty happy with how things are going, but he wants kind of an update from Jason Winn, and Winn's like, I don't really understand. Like, is there a point to all this stuff that you're having me do? Like, what is the end game here? And Violator's like, here's the point. Spawn's back. You guys probably, you and your men, you probably don't even know that. But I have powers, and I'm telling you that Spawn's back in town. And the whole point of this is so that Malbolgia will know that I'm the one that deserves to be in charge of his army. I should be the general, not some former human, And Wynn's like, I don't get it. Like, why, with all your power and all your abilities, why are you leveraging me to go after Spawn? And the clown's like, man, are you dense? I just told you that Malbolgia, for whatever reason, thinks that humans are in a way better than us. He's wrong about that, but he uses words like scheming and manipulative, and he just thinks that humans are so great when the ones that really should be leading these armies, it should be the generals and lieutenants and whatnot of these armies, are the people that were born in hell. We're just as capable of using our brains and manipulating events and whatnot. And by me taking out Spawn in this way, that's how I show him. That's how I show him that. So kind of an interesting theory. Personally, I don't think it'll work. Malbolgia seems to have his mind made up, and if they've been doing this for millennia, testing hell spawns and giving former humans power, I don't know why the clown thinks that would change, but that's his belief, and that's why he has Winn doing what he's doing. So meanwhile, Rat City, which is kind of the portion of the alleys or the slum where Spawn has his throne and where he spends most of his time, where Cagliostro usually finds him, he heads over to that area, and he finds that there's more barricades and there's more fences up, and he's like, what is going on? Has the costume taken over for good? I thought that this guy might finally be the one. He might finally be the hell spawn that we were looking for, but I don't know, maybe I'm losing my perspective. And he's thinking, damn you, Malbolgia, like how many children do you need for this war? Like, when can we find the one, as he calls it, maybe, kind of a Matrix sort of thing, looking for somebody they can leverage for whatever the group that Cagliostro works for. We know it's not heaven. We know it's not hell. We know they're after their own interests, but they're clearly looking for somebody that they can use in a certain way. So meanwhile, at Vito Gravano's mansion, he's got a bunch of guards there, and he has this other guy that he's talking to Tremor about, saying, don't worry, we've got a bunch of guards in place. Won't anything happen to you? There's no way he can get through our perimeter. But what they didn't expect was for Tremor, I guess, to live up to his name in a way, and he comes up from underground. And he starts trashing the office and threatening Gravano, and wants to know where his brother is. And Gravano's like, well, he's right here. He's right here. And what we realize is that this gunman that Gravano had been talking to is Tremor's brother. It is David, but he has lied. Gravano has lied and says that the creature that is Tremor killed David's brother. He killed Richard. And so Gravano's telling him, don't just stand there. This monster is making a mockery of your brother's memory. And, Tremor's trying to get through to him, but David's not listening. He's shooting at him. And of course, Tremor can't bring himself to hurt his brother. I mean, this is the only family, the only tie he has left. And just as David is about to pull the trigger on Tremor, we take a peek outside and see that Spawn's arrived on the scene. Of course, it doesn't take him too long before he takes out the guards. But while he's doing that, David is just unloading on Tremor. And again, Tremor not fighting back. So, you can imagine the angst and the pain, that both physical and emotional, that Tremor's feeling. He finally sees his brother. He finally finds out his brother's alive. Gravano wasn't lying about it, but his brother is literally killing him. So it's not a great place to be. And right about the time that David's about to blow Tremor's head off, Spawn shows up with his own gun and tells him to drop it, which is a great scene. It's very Dirty Harry and a great rendering from Capullo. So David listens. He drops the gun, and Gravano's like, "You're making a big mistake. You have a death wish. What are you doing here?" And Spawn's not having any of it. He's like, "Do us both a favor. Shut up. I don't like people trying to kill my associates or hounding innocent people. I told you before. You've been warned. Stay away from my people." And Gravano's like, "Well, I don't know what you're talking about." He's like, "Don't play stupid. You're not listening, right? I told you, stay away from Wanda Blake and her family, or I'd be back." And Gravano's trying to act all tough. "Oh, you don't scare me." And I love Spawn's response. He's like, "Then you're a very stupid man, Gravano." And honestly, I don't know why Spawn just doesn't kill him. It comes back to that at this point. Like, he didn't kill Jason Winn when he had the chance. Here's a chance for him to take out Gravano. Just do it. Just kill him. He's a bad guy. But instead, Spawn threatens him. He says, "Look, I know a bunch of stuff that your Sicilian cousins wouldn't want to know about. Remember? So do what I'm telling you." So meanwhile, you got to keep in mind, Spawn has no idea who this other guy is that was holding a gun to Tremor's head. He doesn't know it's Tremor's brother. So he's got him there, literal foot on his head, and he's kind of breaking some bones, and he's not treating David with kid gloves at all. And Tremor's like, "Stop! What are you doing?" And he kind of freaks out, and he yells at Spawn. He's like, "I said stop. That's my brother. You're supposed to help me find him, not kill him." And Spawn says, "I never said that. I said I would help you take out Vito and his men. And that's what I did. And when I see somebody standing over somebody else with a gun and there's bloody bodies everywhere, it's pretty easy to figure out who the bad guy is." And so he actually blows David's leg off. And then Spawn says, "Look, Tremor, if you got a problem with the way I do things, then don't come and ask for my help. But if you want your brother to live, I've crippled one leg. You better get him to the hospital pretty fast." So Al is not exactly the most stable guy right now. He's going through a lot. He's been through a lot. He doesn't know whether he's coming or going. He's being pulled in all these different directions. And when his temper goes, it goes. I get it, right? David's not believing it, even though Tremor was trying to tell him things that only his brother would know, that only Richard would know. David wasn't buying it. But I don't know. Like, guy's kind of helpless at that point, and Spawn blows his leg off. So pretty brutal. And of course, Gravano's like, "You're going to take this guy? What do you think you're going to rehabilitate him? He's always been one of us. That's why I kept him around." And Tremor even wants to kill Gravano. And this is where the inconsistency comes, right? He's like, "No, we don't." Spawn's like, "We don't have time for that. We got to help your brother." You only have to help his brother because you blew his leg off. If you would have just had a little bit of patience, and again, why are you protecting Gravano? Now you're protecting Gravano because, oh, you don't have time. You have to go help help Tremor's brother. You're not there for the brother. You're there to take out Gravano or protect him from Gravano. You know how you can protect Tremor from Gravano for good? By taking him out. So I don't know. It's a little wonky. I mean, I still enjoy it, but I just wish I understood a little better why Spawn is so reluctant to take Gravano out. But anyway, Spawn says, basically we're leaving. And Gravano's like, you're not going anywhere. I got this whole compound is covered with guards. You're not going to get 10 feet, and Spawn's like, really? Why don't you take a look out the window? And out the window, you see all the men that Spawn took out on his way into the compound, all piled up. So yeah, it's not really going to be too tough for Spawn and Tremor to leave with David. So in the long run, will David believe that Tremor is his brother Richard? Will he not? Does it really matter? Why did he not take out Gravano? Just not really sure. As far as the other things going on, so we didn't really check in with Wanda or Terry this issue, but we did check in obviously with Violator or the Clown and Jason Winn. We know what's going on there. Obviously heavily focused in this issue on Gravano. Didn't check in too much on the whole concept of Spawn's costume taking over either. It is mentioned by Cagliostro, and Cagliostro doesn't actually have a conversation with Spawn, but we do get some thoughts from Cagliostro of what's going on. So I did feel like it was a well-paced story. It had some fantastic images. I mean, that image of Spawn, it's so Dirty Harry, that image of Spawn pulling the gun on Tremor's brother and saying, drop the gun. Like, it's just fantastic. It's awesome. Because, whips and chains and spikes, and that's all great, right, from the superhero aspect. But once in a while, especially this being the 90s, you just want to see the hero with a big old giant gun, like Cable and Punisher. I mean, the reason those characters were so popular back then. So Capullo definitely leans into that. And then the double page spread we have of Tremor when he brings Billy Scambino to Spawn to be questioned. That's fantastic. It really shows the difference in size of the two and how big and hulking Tremor is. So that was a fantastic image as well. This other image of Jason Winn in the limo when he's talking to the Violator, the Clown, about kind of the motivations and whatnot. It's Capullo, but it's very McFarlane-esque in terms of, the face is all shaded black. All you see is the eyes. You see the little glow from the end of the cigar. Very menacing, very much in my mind, a McFarlane-esque depiction of an evil character. I mean, McFarlane does that all the time in his art. So I thought that was fantastic as well. So yeah, I mean, I've said it before, when we get the McFarlane Capullo issues, the art just sings. It's so fantastic. There are a few panels in this one where the backgrounds are a little light, but some of the other backgrounds, there's so much detail, whether it's in the alley or it's in Gravano's study where there's a bunch of books, or in the back of the limo where there's a ton of detail, on the grounds of the mansion where you see fences and bushes and vegetation and whatnot. So, I don't blame Capullo if a couple of the panels don't necessarily have a ton of background detail, because so many of them do, whether it's wallpaper or library books or what have you. So overall, a really, really fun issue. I do question why Spawn's not killing Gravano. That just doesn't make sense for me. Maybe Spawn's worried that Gravano has some sort of, fail-safe if something were to happen to him, to take out Wanda and Terry and Cyan. But yeah, it's not 100%. And also maybe he's just not thinking clearly, right? Like, I mean, the way he treats Tremor's brother, and the way he's building up a barrier around his own area of Rat City in the alleys, not really talking to his friends. They're among the homeless. Yeah, he doesn't seem to be the most stable right now, which maybe you would expect for somebody who's gone through what he's gone through I mean, he is, for all intents and purposes, still a being that has human emotion. The fact that he's not human is sort of beside the point, because he certainly thinks of himself as human and he pictures himself as human, even though he doesn't have a lot of human, restrictions anymore. So, most of that stuff maybe is on the physical side of things, the way his body's actually made. So we'll have to wait and see. It definitely feels like with issue 47 here, we're building up to big doings in issue 50, but we'll have to wait and see how that all goes down. So anyway, that's going to do it for this episode, everybody. Appreciate you joining us as always, and we'll talk to you next time.